Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Okay, there we go. Welcome to our worship service on this, our fourth Sunday of Lent, and you can see that I've entitled it Donna's Way, because I didn't know Trevor was going to be here, so it's actually Donna and Trevor's Way, and we look forward to hearing their story a little bit later on in the service. But you can see it's been a busy week here at the church, because we have our new screens that were installed, and everything is up and running and ready to go. And so it will be helpful for us going forward if you can give us some feedback on any adjustments that we may need to make within reason. Let me just clarify that. But if there are things such as font size, yes, Carol?
It's about the microphone. There's some sort of a echo. Yeah, like it's not clear.
The microphone isn't clear, or there's an echo, or two things? Okay. Thank you for your help. Okay.
What was that? No, it's got that little click. No.
Okay. Is that better? Or no? No. Okay. How about that? Still not?
That's better. That is better.
A little bit better?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll work with it, but keep letting me know, and I don't want to fuss with it too much, so then we have no volume at all, but it's important that everything is set, so yes. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. As we prepare ourselves for worship, I'm just letting you know that, I know many of you know that Melissa Boostard's dad died this week. And so the visitation is tomorrow at Arnlochie, and the funeral is on Tuesday. And so I just want to take a moment and offer up a prayer for the Boostard family and their time of grief. So let's bow our heads and let us pray. God of all compassion, we offer our prayers today, our prayers of sorrow for the Boostard family as they walk this hard and winding path of grief. We pray that your presence will be made known to them, to surround them with love and care and compassion in this difficult time. We ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. As we prepare ourselves for worship this morning, we remember that we do not go alone. We go always with the light that is before us, the light that is within us. Our worship series this Lent leads us along the path of our faith journey in a way that leads to new life in Jesus Christ, the message of Easter that we move towards. New paths are possible through freedom in Christ, and these ways can be made plain before us if we have eyes to see. Yes, we will strain against adversity, such as life. We don't reach Easter until we've been through the agony of Holy Week that will soon be upon us. But new paths are always possible. New horizons are ours through relationship with God and with each other. There will be both stumbling blocks and stepping stones along the way. But God is our rock and our Redeemer. God is with us in every step. Let's gather together in song, our gathering song that we've been working on. Hopefully you grab some music if you needed it on the way in. If not, just sing along as best you can. You may remain seated as we sing. Let us pray together our prayer for the path. God, our rock, be with us on the way. At times we are not sure how we will carry the burdens of grief and disappointment that accumulate in life. We come asking for help in lightening the load so that we can be free to move in new directions. Help us to help each other as Jesus asks us to do. Amen. Our opening hymn this morning is 657, and our voices united, He Leadeth Me, and I invite you to stand as you are able as we sing together. Thank you to our good singers who knew that song by heart and memory, and I apologize for that. As we greet each other this morning, we're going to do it the same way that we have been doing it throughout this series. I'm going to invite you to move to someone that you didn't come to church with, and I'm going to give you a question to chat about. And the question this morning is there something that you started thinking that you were going to do it really well? I'm hoping I've got all this right because I got the question from Donna. Something that you started that you thought, I'm going to be the best I can be at this. And then things went a little differently for you? So that's your question this morning. So find someone you didn't come to church with, and yeah, a time when you thought, yeah, I got this, it's going to be great, and then, not that it went badly, but maybe it didn't go the way you planned. So, okay, off you go. Take it as a good sign with these questions. Two things. One, there's a lot of knowing laughter when I ask the question, and two, when the conversation goes on a long time. Anyway, anybody want to share with the group about their thing that didn't go? And thank you to Donna for this question.
Well, Jessica and I have been making bread.
Yes.
We got the recipe from Lori, she uses. And the first time we tried it, I thought everything was going good. It was rising up fine. So we had it in the oven and it was baking. And sometimes when you tap the top, it's a little hard and hollow, you know it's done, okay? So one loaf was a little bit bigger than the other. So took the smaller one out and I said, oh, the other one is done too. So we took it out. It was on a cooling rack on the table and I looked from the living room in there in a few minutes and it had some, the bigger one. So I knew right then it wasn't done. Put it back in the oven, which was a fool's errand because it didn't do anything. So later on when they were cold, well, I cut the one up, which was perfect. The other one I just cut around the middle of it and kept the outside parts that were done and just left the other.
Okay, good. Thank you. And you should know, like, Joanne's preparing.
He says that's a sign of old age, I think he's jealous.
Well, I was going to say, that's lofty talk from a man who probably has never baked a loaf of bread. That's what I think. Yeah, exactly. All right, anyone else have a story about something that didn't go according to plan? Nobody? Okay, Lynn?
Well, Debbie. Debbie reminded me of this. So, years ago when we were in Verschoyle, some of you were there and some of you weren't, we used to have a goose supper and feed 500 people. Except one time, all the goose were rotten. And we were starting to stuff them and everybody said, Shirley Lovell, I think, started it. And she said, what's smelling? Something doesn't smell right. So we had to take all the geese, take them all back, get all new geese, and start all over. And it was our major fundraiser for the whole entire year, because 500 people to feed was a lot of people. Max and Marg used to be up at the front and with their pails of boiling water and washing the dishes. Lovells were all there. Everybody had their own job, but that was a very big deal that year. And Debbie reminded me of that.
Mostly I just think, where does one go to find geese at the last minute? Anyone else have a story they want to share this morning? I know it feels like a little bit, maybe you don't want to share your failures. No? It's okay, hold on to them. I know you all got them. I know you do. We're not the only ones, for sure. All right. We're going to continue in worship. We have a couple of readings this morning. The first one, Psalm 16, which I borrowed a paraphrase of it from the book Psalms for Praying by Nan C. Merrill. So Psalm 16. Remain ever before me, O living presence, for in you am I safe. You are my beloved. In you and through you I can do all things. I look to those who are at one with you and learn from them of your ways. My delight increases each time I sense your presence within me. Songs of praise well up from my heart. Love is my chosen food, my cup holding me in its power. Where I have come from, where'er I shall go, love is my birthright, my true estate. I bless the counselor who guides my way. In the night also does my heart instruct me. I walk beside the Spirit of truth. I celebrate the light. I bask in the oneness of all. Thus my heart is glad and my soul rejoices. I shall not be afraid, nor fall into the pit of despair, for in love's presence I know fullness of joy. You are my beloved, and in you will I live forever.
Good morning. This morning's reading is from Isaiah 43, 16 to 19. Thus says the Lord, who makes a way in the sea, a path in the mighty waters, who brings out chariot and horse, army and warrior. They lie down, they cannot rise. They are extinguished, quenched like a wick. Do not remember the former things, or consider the things of old. I am about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. You do not perceive it. I will make way in the wilderness. I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. A word of God that is still speaking.
Thanks be to God. Can you keep playing? You can chat about your question a little bit more if you like, while we just have a little technical switch here. Are we in the right spot?
Is that right? Pardon me? Am I in the right spot? Yeah, you're good.
Can everyone hear me? No? Do I have to press a button? Oh, it says green.
I'll turn you up and fingers crossed.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Excellent. Suddenly I'm feeling a little bit hot, so I'm going to take my shirt off. Buen camino. Give it back. Buen camino.
Good morning.
It means a welcome on the way or good way. And when you're walking on the Camino, that's what you say to every pilgrim that you meet along the way. Buen camino. Sometimes when you're walking, they're plugged in and they don't respond. But you see the next one and you keep going. Try with everyone, and sometimes you're going to make that connection with an individual. Let's see. So the main routes for the to Santiago de Compostela in Spain, they're shown on this map. But in fact, there are many, many more. They start in England, they start even in Norway, all over Europe, and they all end at that point of Santiago de Compostela in Spain. So for Trevor and I, we did the red route, which is the Camino Frances, and the green route, which is the Camino Portugues. We only started from Porto, which is approximately 280 kilometers to Santiago. In 2019, there were 348,000 people that made or took a Compostela in Santiago de Compostela, which is a certificate of achievement. In 2025, there were more than 515,000 people who walked on the Camino. That's a 58% increase in just 5 years. Most of the people only walk the last 100 kilometers, which is the minimum distance that's required to get a Compostela, and they walk it from the city of Tui in Portugal or in Sarria in Spain. So, did I miss one? Yeah. So what is a pilgrim and why do we walk the Camino? And a pilgrim basically is anybody who walks the Camino. You can also ride a bike and you can also take a horse, but the majority of people do walk. And why do they do it? They do it for personal challenge. They do it for health or fitness because it can be very challenging. And they do it as a way for personal discovery and reflection upon their life, where it is, perhaps some challenges that that have happened in their life, a death, a divorce, being laid off from a job. And a few, not a tremendous lot, do it for religious intention, for prayer and reflection as they walk along and visit the various churches along the way. So how did we prepare for the walk? We took the Camino 101 training from the chapter in London, Ontario. They did Zoom presentations during COVID, and frankly, preparing for the Camino probably got us through COVID because we were restricted in so much in what we could do outside of the house. We walked between 1 and 3 hours daily, and we thought that was pretty much enough. We'll find out that it wasn't. We read the Brierley Bible. So Brierley is one of the writers that has written about many of the routes along the different routes in the Camino. And what I like about his books are that it doesn't just say, this is the route, this is how high it goes and how far it is. It talks about what things you should see along the way and gives you some thoughts of personal reflection as you consider each day. We watched so many YouTube videos, and that's one of the reasons that I like Lori, I like to plan things. So I probably had about 15 iterations of our walk that, oh, we saw this video and we can't do that, we got to do it differently. So we would change the route, and that of course would mean many, 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 many changes. And we made some key reservations. So as you can imagine, when you start some places with so many people along the way, there's going to be pinch points where you have to have a reservation. And so based on the advice on Camino 101, we made a reservation at Orison, which is a refuge about 8 kilometers up the side of the Pyrenees Mountains, and at Roncesvalles, which is what should be the end of the first day, and for us was the end of a second day, which is a monastery in that town. And that's the only place to stay unless you want to pay a few €100 to stay at the hotel. So what is a Compostela? Lori has spoken about it. So there is one change this year. Now you can do part of the walk in your home country, as long as that walk is approved by in our case, the Canadian Company of Pilgrims. So Lori completed the walk up to Sault Ste. Marie, Midland. That would have been considered an approved walk, and that distance, a little over 100 kilometers, would have been attributed to her Compostela or certificate of distance once she arrived in Santiago. So you still have to go to Spain, but you only have to walk 70 kilometers instead of formerly it was 100. You only have to walk now 70 kilometers on an approved route in Spain or Portugal or around Europe. And you must walk the last leg of any route into the village. So that's between 15 and 25 kilometers. If you're walking because of religious or spiritual intentions and you've walked the minimum distance, then you're eligible to get a Compostela, which is where? There it is. So this is the Compostela, and I will hand it around. And I have a translation somewhere at the end, I think, what this means, because this is written in Latin. If you're only doing it for fitness or for challenge, personal challenge, then you can get a certificate of distance, which will reflect how many kilometers you walked. Yeah, that's good. I'll pass this one. So I wanted to make a comparison of what the movie was like versus what the real way is like. So on the movie and in the real way, we are talking about the Camino Frances, which is the red route that you saw before. And you do develop or can develop long-lasting friendships. I've heard of many people that in our chapter that have friends that they walked together the first time and they've gone back and walked together again, and then they meet on a personal level in their homes. Snoring, Ziploc bags, and phone lights, a very big yes to both. Injury or blisters, you didn't see much of that in the way, but that's the real way. There are lots of injuries. Some people actually have to stop because they get a twisted ankle, torn ligament, or whatever. Is golf cart training enough? And that's an absolute no. You have to do more work before you go, or go slower at the beginning so that you can build up your strength and complete the distance. Can you come in late to an albergue? No. They lock the door. You can't even get out. Or if you get out, you're not getting back in because the hospitalero is gone. And do you go to the bathroom on the grass at an albergue? No. We have flush toilets, but you might have to go while you're walking along when there's no restaurants, no bars or whatever. So what to pack? There are some very big, great debates on what to pack. Oh, hello pilgrim, buen camino.
Buen camino.
Pilgrim, buen camino. So this is my co-walker, my husband Trevor, and we're going to demonstrate some of the things that are in the backpack. So one, of course, is poles. That's one of the great debates. Do you need poles or not poles? I used poles religiously, whether I was just walking or going up or down hills. They're absolutely necessary if you're going downhill. They keep your balance. You can root them in the path to keep your balance and stop yourself from slipping. We have a lovely poncho that you'll see in some of our pictures. The beauty of that poncho is that it covers your backpack and you don't have to have
Bunch of rain cover.
rain cover. It's a rain poncho, yes. Trevor's got his backpack done up correctly in part around his waist so that the weight is carried on your hips, which is good. And I was wondering if Trevor had any hiker's wool in his bag.
I gotta take my backpack off, and I gotta dig through it. And depending on how I packed it the night before, it could be here for a while. So, it was really noisy at the albergue last night, so I had to rush to get out, wait in line for the bathrooms, and didn't pack my backpack too well, but here's my silk liner.
So why do you need a silk liner, Trevor?
Well, supposedly it's to silk keeps you warmer than material, it's really light, and it's supposed to keep some of the bed bugs away. Yes, there are bed bugs along the way, but and here's my sleeping bag, very
And
light.
this is a sleeping blanket almost from MEC, the Mountain Equipment Company in Canada. And it's one of your debates. Do I need a sleeping bag? Do I need a bag at all? If you're traveling in the summer, you might not even need a cover.
So we have some nice wool socks.
And I never used to wear wool. I always used to wear cotton. And I drank the Kool-Aid. You got to use wool. It's great. It's warm, especially socks on your feet. It keeps the perspiration away from your body, and it's good. And the Smart Wool product dries pretty quickly, which is really important.
A little shirt like I have on. What am I looking for?
Hiker's wool, hiker's wool.
I forgot all about that.
So one of the most important pieces of equipment you have is your feet, and you have to take care of your feet. And for me, through practice, I knew that I had a couple of spots that I had to cover with moleskin, in particular my toes, my baby toes. But what became really important was hiker's wool, and I've shared it with many, many people on the Camino as they dealt with blisters. So hiker's wool is basically roving. It's unspun wool. If you buy it from a store, it might be even less processed than what I'm using here, which is something you could actually spin into yarn. But I used the roving, which was ready to spin, and I wrapped my toes. I had to wrap basically 7 of my 10 toes in the roving. And the beauty was that as I went along in the day, the roving would mat together with felt. And so the next day, on occasion, I could actually just slip it on like a toe cover and continue along the way. That's good. Thank you. There are other debates, of course, waterproof shoes or not waterproof shoes. I have always used waterproof shoes because we did our Caminos in the spring, so there was more water around. It does make it a hotter shoe and heavier. You don't really care about those things. So what kind of a pilgrim did we hope to be? After watching all the blogs and reading the material, we thought, yeah, we're strong enough. We've been training enough that we can walk the whole way, the 800 kilometers. We're going to carry our backpack every day. We're going to stay in albergues 4 out of 5 days. We compromised right at the beginning because we knew that sleeping in bunk beds is not going to be fun, and listening to all the people that we expect to see was also not going to be restful. So we would take a private room for the 5th day, and we would walk between 15 and 20 kilometers a day. So if you read Brierley, often his days are more like between 20 and 30 kilometers a day. We knew that that was a little bit much for us. We also planned to take a rest day and some vacation days along the way because there's some really gorgeous cities along the Camino Frances. So what does a day in the life look like? So that was about 1 o'clock in the evening and about 5 o'clock in the morning, and that light is what a cell phone light looks like in the middle of the night in a totally dark room. So when you get up in the morning, you get up generally around 6 o'clock, and whether or not you've had a good sleep or you feel rested doesn't really matter because you got to be out by 8. And you get up and you start rolling up your bag, and you start to pack, and you wait for your turn at the bathroom. Then you strip your bed because you've been given a paper/plastic sheet when you come into the albergue. And you might get some coffee before you leave, but generally 50-50 chance. And you start walking around 8 o'clock, between 7:30 and 8. And along the way, and the beauty of the Camino Frances is there are a lot of facilities along the way. So usually within an hour and a half, you'll find some sort of cafe open and you can have some coffee. So that's about coffee and toast, about 9:30. Some people use, at the potluck I made a tortilla, which is a potato and egg kind of omelet thing, and many people would have that. Both Trevor and I are not so good with eggs, so we don't eat that because it could be risky. So you have a 15-minute break and then you start walking again. You have another break, little rest, put your feet up. You have another small snack. Generally, you get to the albergue around 2:30. You should have had lunch by then because in Spain, they close around 2 o'clock. and they don't reopen until 7 for meals, right? You'll still be able to get a beer, which is important, or a glass of wine, which is more important. But generally, you have to think about having a good lunch before that time. You get to the albergue, you pay your money, you get your sheets, you go in, you make your bed, you pull out your stuff, then you go to the bathroom, take a shower, do laundry, and often it's by hand. The good thing about traveling with a partner is you can rationalize paying to use the washing machine, which is usually outrageous. €5 to wash 6 or 7 pieces of clothing it seems like a bit much, but that's what you do. If you're lucky, you'll have a dryer. If not, you're hanging them out in whatever weather is there for you to have. You'll go out for dinner probably around 7 o'clock. The restaurants really don't start serving dinner until 7:30, 8 o'clock, but for most towns that have a lot of pilgrims, they will start around 7. You'll be back in bed by 9 o'clock, and hopefully you'll get a good sleep. So in February of 2023, we got our credentials from the Canadian Company of Pilgrims. So from now on, I'm not going to talk a lot. I'll just let these pictures speak to what we're doing. So the Camino begins at home. That's where it always did in the ancient times. And that's one of the reasons why you have so many routes that start all over Europe. Of course, we're in Canada here, but we did start from home. We got to the starting point in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France, which is the beginning point for the Camino Frances. And these are just some beautiful flowers. And then we started walking. And it's called the Napoleon route because there are 2 routes out of Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. One you use when the mountain is covered with snow and they close the route with the Napoleon route, and that's the Valkaris route, I believe it's called, which goes up basically beside a road. These are some of the views on the way up. I have lots more pictures, and that was because I was stopping frequently to catch my breath and let my heart calm down, because the first 8 kilometers are a rise of approximately 800 meters, in elevation over 8 kilometers. It only took for me 3 hours to do it, but honestly, I was worried about my heart. It was a lot of work. We have some horses for Marg. And this is the next morning after we got up from the albergue in Orisson. That statue is a statue of Mary at Orisson. And if you listen to the music in this DVD that's up here, there is a song about I saw you, Mary, crying over me. So she's watching the pilgrims as they walk by. So we've done 1,400 meters of elevation climb and 800 meters of elevation decline by the time we reach Roncesvalles, which is this picture here. And actually, no, we're crossing over into Spain. We haven't got to Roncesvalles yet. Here is the albergue at Roncesvalles, which is a monastery. Over 250 beds. They were turning people away the day that we were there. Wow. That's why you need a reservation. So these are just pictures along the way, and you'll see we're goofing around sometimes. So we've reached about 10 kilometers before Pamplona, and we got to this albergue, and this is the luxury suite in the albergue. And it's luxury because as Canadians, we were given the special room, which had basically 4 walls, well, 4 walls and an open door that didn't have a door on it. And Trevor fortunately climbed up onto that top bunk. And one thing you learn as you go along, your feet are really sore, and those bunk beds, they really hurt, getting up onto to the top bunk. So we're in Trinidad de Ar, which is the town. We've got this special suite, but it's in front of the door that enters in, the people come in through to the albergue. So every time the door opens, the wind comes in, and everybody's peeking. So finally we asked if there was a sheet or something we could put over the doorway, because it was like we were on display. So why did we get the special executive suite? Was because the Canadian Company of Pilgrims had given this albergue money to fix their roof during COVID. Of course, there's no income coming in for those albergues, so that was really difficult for them to finance any repairs or maintenance. So now we've reached Pamplona, and I apologize because these pictures really don't do justice to the cathedrals. Beautiful, but it doesn't capture the feeling in the cathedral. And this is the famous statue of the running of the bulls, which happens in July in Pamplona, where people, mostly men, run in front of bulls as they charge along the road behind them. And you can see the man under the bull and Trevor pretending to fall over. And this is a square, and you'll find that in France and many places in Europe, that in the evening people leave a lot of apartments, right, or condominiums, and they come and they go for a paseo out on the walk around the village square or town square, and they meet and greet everyone and have coffee, wine, whatever makes you feel good. As well, they're eating late, so now we're past Pamplona, we're going into the fields around in Spain. And this is Alto del Perdón, which you saw in the movie. So we were there. It was good. We were tired. It's actually a big hill getting up there. And cranes are considered lucky, good luck, so you'll see cranes throughout Spain, and the poppies in the fields. Actually, some of them are interspersed with the field, the hay or the crop that is being grown. You'll see poppies growing in with them. I don't know where this is, but it's there somewhere. This is Puente La Reina, which was built by, or ordered to be built by a queen, so that pilgrims could get safely from one side of the river to another, that's pretty dedicated, right? And I'm actually saying good morning over there, but it doesn't look that great, but. This is Trevor goofing around. And we're getting, we just walk along. A lot of the pictures are very similar with the field full of grain or full of rapeseed and wheat. And here's a hill for you. I think that was actually a descent. More poppies. And the signposts that you'll see along the way, it is very well marked, the Camino Frances. I think we got lost 3 times along the way. And it was mostly in towns. And what you may find in towns is that you'll see yellow arrows and you follow the yellow arrow, but it's actually an astute business person saying, come follow me and come to my little store along the way. And more, and I don't know where that is either, but it's before the next slide. And you see the beautiful landscape and the big sky. That's what hits you, is it's such a big sky. And there's the fields planted. And these are friends that, in particular, Trevor met along the way. He taught them how to use their poles correctly. And these were women from Malaysia who had come along the way. So when we reached Belorado, we had been 14 days on the road. We did have a rest day in there. We had walked 225 kilometers. We had climbed 5,500 meters. That doesn't sound right, but I did take it off of the Camino Ninja. We were really tired. We were blistered, or at least Trevor was blistered. I think he had blisters at the top of 6 or 7 toes. And he didn't feel them. That's the dangerous part, because that's when you can get some serious infection. We were disappointed in ourselves because we thought we'd be stronger. We thought we could walk longer. We had already amended the plan in terms of how and when we would walk. And we were dismayed at the amount of effort it was to get a reservation for that day. There were so many pilgrims on the road. The South in Korea, they had had a reality show based on the Camino. So there were big groups of Koreans walking the Camino at the same time that we were. And of course, big groups take up a lot of space. So we were relying on Booking.com, which we then realized was probably not the best thing to do, but it was a struggle. So we had planned to take vacation, and we decided to take the bus to Burgos, which was the first place we planned to take vacation. We were going to heal ourselves a bit, but also we had to decide, are we going to go home or are we going to continue? So this is the Burgos Cathedral, and it is a stunning cathedral. These pictures don't do it justice. I like to look up at the ceilings and to see how much work just goes into what's above you. And this is the castle wall around Burgos. And this is us just fooling around, talking to the local people here. And here is the cathedral in Leon. And beautiful stained glass windows, beautiful altars, and the altars generally tend to follow the same theme with different stories told in the panels. This building is designed by Gaudi in Astorga. And what we noticed in Astorga, it has a lot of murals on the wall and a lot of art. So that hat on the side of the fence is actually a mural. I wanted to insert a video of the bell ringing in the Astorga plaza, but unfortunately, iPhones and standard computers don't really talk to each other. So Laurie saved me on one of the videos that we'll see later, but clearly I need to get more training on that. So we're in Astorga and we're back in bunks, and you notice that they're metal once again, and it's a great feeling. And you see the labyrinth over there, and this is a picture of the actual labyrinth. So I know this looks weird, right? Probably not culturally appropriate. However, we did stay at the Indian Way, which is an albergue, and it is in teepees, and you sleep on those beds inside the teepee. The wind comes under the side of the teepee and over the door where they hadn't got it covered, and it was 0 degrees. We had mailed our gloves and hats in Burgos over to Santiago de Compostela because it was hot. It was like 25 degrees. Not today, though. We froze. We had blankets. Each bed had 2 blankets. And you could not sleep. You just got up and you might as well just continued walking. But it was a beautiful and unique experience. And here is the Cruz de Ferro. And the Cruz de Ferro is a place where you bring your stone from home, and hopefully you've spoken, blessed, talked, whatever, with the stone to say, these are my burdens and I want to lay them at the cross and leave them behind as I walk away. The Cruz de Ferro, what you see there looks pretty unpopulated, but it is actually quite busy, and you kind of have to wait your turn to you get a picture, take a moment of silence. That stone that was laid, I I had my own burdens that I put on, and my brothers and my sisters and Barb's, and I don't know if you said anything for Ray, did you? Anyway, that tiny little triangle stone came from Canada and had several burdens on it. And the thistle is the flower of my mother's family. So I took a picture. So this is the Castillo de los Templarios, so the Templar Castle, which is along the way. And this is the Casa Susie albergue. So Susie came and did the Camino, and she was so enthralled with it. She had been recently separated, I believe, and she came from Australia and walked the Camino, and was so enthralled that she, and with her father's help, bought an old barn and converted it into an albergue. It has about 12 bunks, or 12 beds. They're all single beds, nice on the floor, no ladders, and they do a group meal, and that is the best experience on the Camino. The group meals where you talk to one another, learn about each other's experience. Sometimes you have to prepare part of the meal, and sometimes you, like in this case, we didn't actually do very much at all, except eat and drink. And this is the Alto de San Roque, which is a big statue for pilgrims. Here is the Tria Castella, which is a cathedral that was built in place of 3 local cathedrals that went into demise. And inside you can see it's a little simpler than the other cathedrals, but it's quite beautiful. Here is a Galatian horero, which is a granary where they would store cobs of corn, with the intention that mice couldn't get in there, but I'm pretty sure they can get in there. So these are the statues pointing to Santiago. It's less than 10 kilometers to Santiago. We're almost at the end. Here we are at the gates to the city, and we can see the cathedral on the left, the spire in the ceiling. At this point, I'm going to go and give a few pictures of the Camino from Portugal, which we took all the way along the coast. You can see the rain poncho comes in handy. And this is the cathedral that I enjoyed the most, which was about 100 kilometers along the way. Some greenery and more ocean views. That's what we had for probably 150 kilometers along the way, along the coast. This chapel is very small, but it's very much appreciated by myself. It was raining that day, really heavily. My waterproof boots were floating. There was water so much that it was gushing out of the sides. And of course, it's waterproof, so it's got to stay in there and gush around. But anyway, we came to this chapel and it was open, which is unusual. A lot of the places are closed. I was able to walk in, dump the water out of my shoes, take the dry part of my sock and kind of dry inside the shoe, and then put a pair of dry socks on. And that was a true blessing. And here we are receiving our Compostela. And when we walked the Camino Portugues, we took a tour of the rooftop of the cathedral. And I've left a few claw marks on the wall because I'm not really that great with heights, and we were high. And here is the Pilgrim Mass. Is it going to start? So the botafumero is an incense burner. It weighs over 70 pounds. And it was thought that the smell of the incense would mask some of the smell of the pilgrims as they come in from the way. Because the first thing you would do is, after coming into the square, you would go to the first mass that you could. So this picture is of grass at Finisterre, which is the end of the earth. And the marker, which I think Laurie has used in a few presentations, is what you will see all over Spain and Portugal to tell you which way to go. So we're in Finisterre, and it's time to get rid of that beard, which I was very happy to see. But I'm not sure if anybody remembers me in 2023. I started growing a tiny little tail at the back of my neck when I started preparing for the Camino. So it's about 2 years of hair growth that I thought it was appropriate to come off at Finisterre at the end of the earth. There it is. So what did we achieve and what did we learn? Well, we walked 500 of the 800 kilometers. And initially I was disappointed, but 500's pretty good. We didn't stay in albergues as much as we had planned to, probably about 50% of the time, and 50% of the time we stayed in private rooms. We used luggage transport, meaning we put as much as we could into one of the backpacks and then paid to have the second one transported to the next place that we planned to stay. So what we learned was we are not as strong as we had hoped to be. We survived and we pushed through. We're still married. And we are pilgrims. And lastly, Donna should not wear beige. Not a good color. And here is Finisterre, the sunset at Finisterre. This is the credential that you'll get if you get it from the Canadian Company of Pilgrims. And it has some of the stamps. You get a stamp at every place you stay, places you visit for coffee, etc. It has some information on it, on routes, which is good. And if you want to know what the credential actually means in English, it's a certificate that says the chapter of this Holy Apostolic Metropolitan Cathedral of St. James, custodian of the Seal of St. James altar, to all faithful and pilgrims who come from everywhere over the world as an act of devotion under vow or promise to the Apostles' tomb, our patron and protector of Spain, witnesses in sight of all who read this document that, and your name, has visited devoutly this sacred church in a religious sense. Witness thereof, I hand this document over to him, authenticated by the seal of this sacred church, given in St. James de Compostela and dated. Thank you. Is there any questions? No?
I'm impressed. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Donna, how would you have trained differently if you did it again?
You have to do more hills,
Okay.
especially for Frances. The first day is one of the worst, but there's a similar climb up to O Sobrero, a little bit steeper and shorter, but it's very, 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 very steep. But every day there's hills, unless you do the Meseta. So the 300 kilometers that we didn't do were the Meseta, which is a high altitude plain, pretty flat, but there's still hills. But along the rest of the Camino Frances, there are a lot of hills. So every day is hills. So.
How long did it take you?
The walking time was, we were gone from Canada 60 days, so probably walking was about 40 days, and we only did 500 kilometers. The younger people and people who walk regularly Based on Brierly's book, you can do it in 33 days. And that's the 800 kilometers.
No, thank you.
Well, people can do it. It's possible. Any other questions? There are children that come on the Camino. Children do the Camino with their parents or with a parent. There was a woman who was pushing a carriage and a young infant, probably between 12 and 18 months. And she pushed it. Yeah. So children do come on the Camino.
Did you meet lifelong friends? Like, are you still in touch with some of the people you met on the way?
That was one of our disappointments that I didn't put down there. We didn't, because we walked so slowly. That first day, that Orison, for example, or Roncesvalles, where you have your first communal meal, is often where you meet the people that you then walk with or see regularly. So we did see the Malaysian women quite frequently. We saw Peter from Germany quite frequently, a woman from Sweden quite frequently. And it was always like greeting an old friend, but really, we didn't develop our friendships that lasted a long time. One of the challenges when you walk with a partner is that people walk by you that you've already got someone to talk to, right? So it's better in that sense. If you're walking alone, you have a greater chance of making a connection with someone.
What amazed me, Donna, when we traveled England's power, that back in those days, in 1800, they built those cathedrals with no machines. It was all man.
Yes, and I would imagine a lot of slaves and poor people, and probably many deaths. Any other questions? I'll pass Brierly around, and my passport. Don't lose this. Oh, while they're getting organized, let's talk about the Island Walk, which is a walk in Prince Edward Island. I haven't done it. 700 kilometers. It goes around the perimeter of Prince Edward Island. It is a tourist walk, not a religious walk, and you would use, you would center yourself in a different cottage or whatever, and then go to the beginning point of each day's walk. But it's quite beautiful, and it's in Canada.
Okay. As you know, Lori had to leave to go to Newark, so I'm just going to finish up here. We're going to sing the last hymn, One More Step Along the World I Go. Tell, I'm very organized. Let's just do this prayer. The Creator God filled you with breath, inviting you to this journey called life. We will follow along the way. Jesus, our guide, showed us what it means to make a new way with love. We will follow along the way. The Spirit gives us strength to move forward with courage and compassion, for we all meet. We will follow along the way. I think, Diane, is this our last hymn, like the last, God dismiss us with your blessing? I know, I got you all confused too. Don't worry, we're all there. Oh, okay. God dismiss us with your blessing. With joy and peace, let us each your love.